Yes, so today I'm going to be covering a topic called Java tokens. Okay, so basically, token is nothing but a word which generally we used in the program. So each and every words I can say that. So like maybe that may be public, static, void, or maybe main, or hello, or system, or out. Whatever the words we generally typed in the program, that each and everything will belongs to token. Okay, and now the tokens is divided into four types totally. So first one is identifiers, second one keywords, third one constants, and the last one operators. So that means if you observe any program in Java, any what do you call it, instruction in Java, that might consist of these four types of tokens only. So if you go for any program, if you observe over there, it will belongs to any of this particular category only. So first I will try to explain each category what it means, then you may understand how that will be segregated. Okay. So the first one here is, if you observe that, identifiers. So identifiers are nothing but name. So whatever the names generally we used, like object name, variable name, or class name, function name, package name. So likewise, whatever the names we are generally used in a Java program, that each and every name we technically called as identifier. So identifier means names. Okay. So the name what we generally using in the program, we should follow some instructions, like everything we can't define as a name. So we have some set of rules and regulations while we are writing the name to the any component. So that rules are, so first one, it should not support the special symbols except underscore mostly. So if you want to write any name, hardly you can use the underscore to separate the words, but you cannot use at the rate, dot, or some what are the symbols we have in the keyboard. So we cannot use it except underscore. And similarly, every time, hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. So every time, whatever the name we are writing, it has to start with alphabet, like A, B, C, A to Z. I can say that we cannot start with numbers. So even though it supports numbers, but in between, maybe end of the name, we can write the numbers, but starting we cannot write. And also, whatever the keywords which are already available in the Java, so whatever the words which are already available, I mean to say, so that we cannot use as our words. Like example, we can't use int as a variable name. Like for example, int comma int, if you return, it will show error because int is already defined for defining the integer. Similarly, int void or int static, something like that. The keywords whatever we have as a list, so that we cannot use as a name. And Java names are case sensitive, so please careful about it. So even many times I'm telling like you cannot interchange the uppercase with lowercase. That means if you are initially defined with uppercase, so throughout the program you should use uppercase only. If you are using lowercase throughout the program, you should use lowercase like that. So either you should go for uppercase or lowercase, but you have to strict with the case what you are defined. Okay. And similarly, finally, no empty spaces allowed. That means when we are writing the name, either it should be single word or multiple words, whatever it is, but you cannot use space in between the words when we are writing the names. Okay. So this is few rules we have to remember while we are giving the names. Okay. And finally, that it is we call suggestion, like it's not like rule but it's a suggestion. We should always give the action words as names. Action words in the sense, the name what you are defining, that should reflect what you are going to be doing in the application. Assume that if you are doing the sum of the two numbers, so the name of the class should be the summation, sum, add, addition, something like that. But it cannot be like product or hello or something, multiplication, not like that, because the name should not deviate or should not mismatch the functionality what we are doing inside of the class. So that is also one good what I can say, that the suggestion you have to always keep on remind. Okay. So these are the things what we have to remember while we are defining the identifier. So I'm showcasing some of the name examples. So if you go for like user name, okay, so this is valid. User underscore name, this is valid. User under name, this is valid. So these three are valid ones, you can use it. Okay. But you cannot write user dot name, or user at the rate name, you cannot write, or user space name, or else what we have like user and yeah, so likewise, one username. So these are all not allowed. And even we have allowed one more thing, as I mentioned, username one is allowed, but one username is not allowed. Okay. So likewise, you have to understand, like as I mentioned, right? So even like for example, int, these are all not allowed because this is already well-defined keyword. Okay. So likewise, you have to understand when we are defining the names. Okay. So is there any doubt in the identifiers?
Sir, voice ఎవరిది కనెక్ట్ కావట్లేదు సార్
Hello?
ఆడియో.
ఓకే సార్, ఓకే సార్.
హలో ఏంటన్నా ఏమైంది?
అది ఆడియో ఎవరి కనెక్ట్ కావట్లేదు సార్ ఆడియో.
మా ఇద్దరిదే కనెక్ట్ అయింది సార్, వేరే వాళ్ళు ఎవరు కనెక్ట్ అవ్వట్లేదు సార్.
అంటే వాయిస్ రావట్లేదా నాది?
కాదు సార్, మా వాయిస్
మీ వాయిస్ రావట్లేదా? ఓకే. ఓకే. ఒక్క నిమిషం ఆగండి.
ఎవరిది రావట్లేదు సార్.
నేను అలౌ చేస్తున్నా. ఇప్పుడు ట్రై చేయండి ఒకసారి. హలో?
ఏముందండి స్వామి. ఓకే
ఈజ్ ఇట్ ఓకే నౌ?
ఎస్ సార్.
ఓకే.
ఓకే. So,
Hello.
as I mentioned already, the names are case sensitive as I write. So, when we have to use uppercase, when we have to use lowercase in Java, so that is also well defined in Java. It is already, I think, just a high level I written, right? So class name, generally interface. So mostly these names always starts with uppercase letter, and how many words you are writing in the name, that all should be starts with uppercase letter only. Okay. Like I given some examples, a sample S capital, string S capital, input stream reader I S R capitals, like that. How many words there in the name, that each and everything should starts with uppercase letter in the class. Whereas method, the only difference is everything quite similar, but only the first character will be the lowercase when coming to the method, but when coming to the class, it will be uppercase. That is the major difference. Remaining portion will be same. And when coming to the variable, package, object, keyword, package name or variable name, keywords, what we are using, so that all we should write in the smaller case only. We should not use uppercase at any time. And the last one, constants. So in Java, constants are indicating by uppercase. So whenever you identified something will be in the all letters in the uppercase, please remember that is constant in Java notation. Okay. So likewise, for every word what we are writing, there should be a convention to write the name. So you should follow that. Okay. Is it clear?
ఎస్ సార్.
Yeah. And next, so as I mentioned already, so keywords are the built-in words in the compiler. So means these are already well defined by the developers or the program creators, so that we can use directly in the program without any import or without any redefinition or redeclaration. Just however you require the keyword, you can use same way directly. So keywords are all are smaller case and has every word has some meaning. Like example, int is used to define the integer. Final is used to define constant. Private is used to make the content to specific to class only. It cannot access outside. Similarly, static to make it execute by the class name. So likewise, for every what you called keyword, there is a meaning. So as such need, if you have in the program, you can use the respective keyword. Okay. And then we have constants. So constants are fixed values, like numerical values, I can say that. So that are all we have, like 1 2 3, that all we call constant. But even Java is giving a provision to convert your alphabets into, I mean that what I can say, variables. So variables into constants by using final keyword. So that means if you define final keyword in front of the any particular variable, so then it will convert it as a constant. So that means whatever the data or whatever the value we have in the respective variable, we cannot modify it. So we cannot change it. So just however the value initially initialized, the same value only will keep remains entire program. You cannot change the respective value when you defined it as a what I can say, that constant. So any doubt as of now? As of now, any doubt?
సార్ సేమ్ మళ్ళీ ప్రాబ్లం అండి సార్ అందరికి ఎవరికి కనెక్ట్ కావట్లేదట
కనెక్ట్
No, no.
అవ్వకపోవడము అంటే నా వాయిస్ రావట్లేదా? వాళ్ళ వాయిస్ నాకు
వాళ్ళది కనెక్ట్ కావట్లేదు
వాళ్ళ వాయిస్ మీకు రావట్లేదు సార్.
ఓకే. వాళ్ళ వాయిస్ రాకపోతే చాట్ చేయమనండి నాన్న. చాట్ ఉంటది. చాట్‌లో పెట్టమనండి. నా సైడ్ నుంచి అయితే అలౌ చేశాను నేను.
ఓకే సార్.
సో, స్టిల్ వాళ్ళకి రావట్లేదంటే అది వాళ్ళ సైడ్ ఇష్యూయే. సో, దే కెన్ పుట్ ఇంటు ద చాట్ ఇఫ్ దే హావ్ ఎనీ డౌట్. So, Sinan, if you have any doubt, you have a chat option. So, in this, if you have in the more, there is a chat, you can ping over there. I can answer that also. Yeah, fine. No
ఓకే సార్.
doubts.
ఓకే సార్
చెప్పండి.
Any doubt still?
నో సార్ కంటిన్యూ
Oh, okay. So now the next topic will be here is operators. Okay. So basically operators are all are symbols, Nana, like plus, minus, less than, greater than, that all whatever the symbols generally we used in the program. So that are known as operators. Okay. So operators are basically used to perform the operations such as arithmetic and subtraction or comparison, such all whatever basic things we have, right? That everything we call operators only. So we have different types of operators. So we'll see one by one. Okay. So here, as I mentioned, right? So we have unary like increment, decrement. So if you want to increment the value by 1, we can use increment, or decrement the value by 1, decrement. So likewise, we have different set of operators. So we'll see one by, sorry, where is that? Yeah, here. So first one, plus plus, which is used to increment the value by 1, whereas decrement will use it to decrement the value by 1. Likewise, we have binary also like assignment. So if you want to store some value into the variable, we may use equal or plus equal or minus equal. Similarly, we have arithmetic operators like plus, minus, star, by, percentile. So here, as you know, plus minus well-known things like addition, subtraction, and multiplication and division. But percentile mostly used for remainder. Okay, to get the remainder from the value, we will use percentile operator. And similarly, relational operators we have like less than equal, greater than equal, not equal, double equal. So these are all used to compare the two values or variables, whether they are equal or not, whether the greater than the other one or not, like that. So each and every comparison will take it by using relational operator. And the finally logical operators. So these operators will help you to join the two or more conditions. Like example, you want to check both the conditions at a time, like condition 1, condition 2. So if both are satisfied, then only you want to run the code. So in that aspect, you can go for logical operators. And so if you want to either of the condition, yes or no, so then we can go for or condition. So likewise, you can combine them. And we have bitwise, but it is not at all used in real-time projects, but still binary operations we can say that. So these operators will help, these operator will help you to do the binary operations. Like embedded systems, mostly we use this, like any binary or any significant gates like AND gate, NAND gate, you may have, if you have that where we can use it. And the other important one is ternary operator. So this is also called as conditional operator. So where you can check the whether the condition is true false, just like if else, I can say that. Okay, but anyway, we are now currently we are using if else only, we are not using conditional operator, but still there is a one possibility of conditional operator, that we can say inline conditional, because the entire condition we can able to write in the single line, no need of writing in the multiple lines. Similarly, we have other keywords like new, dot, comma, that also we generally used, and precedence. So mostly first high priority will go for brackets, then increment, decrement, and then arithmetic, then relational, then logical, then bitwise, like that. The precedence will go that priority, I can say that. Okay. So input statement basically for automation people, you doesn't require this one. for Java people, like for core Java practice, it's required. For testing, it is not required. Okay. So for core Java, like for doing individual practice, yes, to take the input from the keyboard and to give your own input, we can use the input statement, that is scanner. I can say that because in Java, scanner will help you to read something from the keyboard dynamically. So whenever you require something from the keyboard dynamically, we can use this particular input statement. So where I will practically show you, so where you can understand how to write by gradually. But uh, two things you need to remember: whenever you want to use the scanner in your program, you need to import the util package, that is java.util.scanner. And the second thing, whatever the methods we have in the scanner, if you want to consume them, you require to create a scanner object, because as we know, so non-static methods should be executable by object of the class. So if you want to read the string, we have a method called next. If you want to read the integer, we have a method called nextInt. Similarly, we have multiple methods in the scanner to read the respective data types for the respective requirement. Okay. So as of now, if you have any doubt, please ask me. If you are unable to speak up, please ping me in chat. Yeah, I'm considering as a no doubts.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
No, no doubts. Everything okay.
Okay. So now after the topic, we have statements like sequential control, like if else, I can say that. But before starting this topic, we'll first do some exercise on operators and then we'll go for statements. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, wait.
Yes, so now we will write some sort of programs.
Okay, so as we mentioned, right click on the basics and new Java class we have to select. And while you're creating the, as I mentioned already for testing people also, like while you're creating the Java program, so we are not doing any testing over here. So generate the public static void main to test your functionality. And here I'm doing very simple example sum. Okay. So now here what is my intention means I want to do the sum of the two numbers in this particular program. Okay. So for that, so here I'm creating a function call. So as we know, so public. So for the time being, I'm using public static void do sum. I'm taking a function like do sum. Okay. So now within this particular do sum, I want to perform the sum of the two numbers. But if you want to perform the sum of the two numbers, we require two numbers, right? So that I'm taking as an argument to this particular function int a comma int b. So two numbers I'm taking. See, whatever the arguments we are writing as part of the function, consider that are as an input, and whatever the code we are writing as part of function, that will be the response. Okay, now we want to do the sum of the two numbers, right? So int c equal to a plus b, and now I want to print this output to the customer. So I'm writing system dot out dot println. And as we know, so I mentioned the void, right? So void, it shows that nothing to return anything. That means you need not to return anything in this particular function. So whenever you return the void in any function, so you need not to write the return statement. You got it? So that is you required to understand. And similarly, whenever you return the return statement, you should return it. So I will show you that example also. So see, public static, I'm taking void instead of, sorry, instead of void I'm taking int do. Let's take, I'm taking product, so do product. Okay. So similarly here also I'm taking two arguments that are int type. So now here I'm taking int c equal to a star
Plus,
production, and now we are returning, right? So return c. So why I'm writing integer, now this will clarify. See, even these two are highlighted if you observe that. See that. So whatever the value we are returning in function, that respect to data type, so what we are returning here, c, am I right? So now see what is the type, int. So that int you should write instead of void. So that is the meaning of return statement. Is that point clear or not, everyone?
Okay.
Everyone, you can ping in the chart if you have a doubt. So first point, every time be habituated with writing public. Why means to access these functions everywhere. But really wantedly you want to restrict this function to within this class only. I mean that within this program only. You don't want to expose this function outside. Then put it as a private. That are the two things you have to remember. One is private and the one public. Public means within the anywhere we can access. Private means within the class only we can access. Even I will show you the difference also in this example only. Okay. And second, static. If you define the static for any function, that will be executed by class name. Okay. If you define static, that will be executed by class name. This is the class name. And if you are not written the static, then that will be executed by the object name. Okay. So even I will just draft a small notes for that, so you may understand. Okay. First one, I will put everything in the comment. So as we know already, comments can be used in the Java to make it description or to make readable for the user. Like for example here, what is that? So public can be accessible anywhere. Okay. Whereas private can be, sorry, can be accessible only within class. Okay.
yes.
So this is the first difference you need to understand. So any doubt as of now?
No.
If anyone have doubt, you can ping me in chat also, as I mentioned already. Okay.
Public.
Yeah. So public private, I hope you're clear, right? Now static. If you define the static, that can be, so hyphen, it can be called by class name. Okay, but whereas non-static means no static, it can be
Called by
called by
endpoint
object name. I will show you
object.
one example also. For example, if you consider this one only, in this only, what is the class name here? Sum, right? So if you are defining as a static, you can call sum dot, sorry, sum dot do sum, like that the execution will be there. Okay, but if you go for non-static, first you have to create an object. So sum obj equal to new sum, and then you have to call object dot do sum. So this is the approach of calling. I hope you understand. And finally, void I'm written. So void indicates, it indicates what? Nothing to return. That means no return statement. Got it?
Okay.
Is it everything is clear as of now? Whatever the keywords I mentioned. And now if I want to call these two functions within the main method, as I said already, directly you can call, there is no need of object because they are static. So simply you can call sum dot do sum, do product or do sum. So I'm giving 10 comma 20. And similarly, this is not returning, right? So we need not to print here, or it is printing already. So simply do sum, and similarly I'm giving 10 comma 20. Okay, yeah, two functions I called. So now I'm trying to execute them. Okay, so you will able to see the output of the respective two functions. Yeah, see that you are able to see the sum equal to 30. What is the other one? Yeah, see that. We use the return statement. See that for the first one we return the system.out.println. That's why you are only getting the sum equal 30. But the second one, even though we are calculated the value, but we are not printing anywhere, we are throwing the value, we are returning the value, so that the respect to C value in the do product you need to print here. Okay, so that is the difference between with return and without return while you are printing also. So we have to remember that point also. Okay, when you are returning, you should make it in the system.out.println. If it is not returning, you know how to do that. So now I'm once again run that. So now you are able to see the both the things will be in the part of this particular execution. So now you can able to see product as well as sum also. See that 200 and sum equal to 30. But why we are getting in the same line? Because I written the print. But if you
Yeah,
are using the print ln, you will get in the new line.
two
So see
lines.
here. So that is the difference between print and println. Print means will keep the output in the same line. Now you see you are putting out, you are getting the output in the two different lines. So because of println. And again, if maybe someone asks you, so how we are getting here sum equal to, why we are not getting here product equal to? Because in first case, if you consider, I return sum equal to as a one statement in the output statement along with your output. But in product, I didn't write anything, just I'm printing the value. That's why we are getting only value. But if you want the statement here also, yes, you can concatenate here also, like product equal to plus concatenation. So this entire options are based on your requirement and based on customization. There is no rules and regulations how we will use. It always depends on your requirement. So now you see you are getting both the outputs with statement also. Okay, so this is the way how you are creating the a simple mathematical operations using functions, and you can able to execute them. Now as I mentioned, right, public private, will check it. See, I will tell you that example. For example, I want to do this sum in the hello program, other program. Now it is already be created in the sum, right, do sum. So there is no need of creating once again in this program. You just use as you require. Like for example here, simply you can call sum dot do sum. See that it's coming automatically 20, and simply you can
10
do
is
40 something 30. Now you see, if I'm executing this program, you can able to see the sum also, okay, because that is in the public mode. So now from anywhere you can use that logic without rewriting the code. So see, you are getting sum equal to 50. So that is the advantage of the functions and public keyword. That means the public functions, whatever we are writing in the program, can be reusable in your entire project, so that no need of writing the same code again and again in your application. So I hope you understand the advantage of functions and public. Is it clear, everybody? Hello?
Yes, sir, clear.
Any doubt?
Like a date mention దేనికి సార్ అది Thursday, February 23rd.
Yeah, because we written new date, right? Yesterday in last class we explained, right? So I
Yes.
written new date, that's why it's printing the date. And this is different because we written the functions over in this program, so that is executed over here, okay? And
Okay.
now if I'm making this do some as a private, as I mentioned, right? What do you mean by private? We can't access the outside class. See, immediately when I'm making private, if you observe that, it's showing error here, you see that. You got it?
Nice.
Now go back to there. See, now you are able to see the error over the calling statement. See that. Now if you over it, it is showing, see that. This method do sum from the type sum is not visible. See that. That means we make it a private, right? So then the respect to some class is not giving the permission to access over here. So we can't access until unless if you make that is a public. So that is what I'm trying to explaining. Is it now clear, right?
Sir.
Understood, everyone?
Yes, sir.
So if you want to call something from outside, make it public. If you want to restrict to the class only, then make it private, so that
Right.
other classes or other programs cannot be consumed. So maybe you may ask, so then why? What is the reason to make it private? Like it is always used to reuse, right? Better to reuse, right? So why? Because sometimes some programs are restricted to security, like banking application or financial applications. So some sort of functions we should not want to share it, like example password or username or any password only. If you see the account balance, if you see for example banking, so if I'm making the public to that, anyone means the code, whoever have the access, they can see the balance of the customers, so it's not good, right? So in such cases we are using private generally. So public in generally for reusable code we use the public. Any doubt as of now, Parag?
No.
If you have any doubt, please ask me, or else I will go to the next point. Any doubt?
No doubt.
Yeah, so I hope you understand this point also, right? So this is we call variables, we call, or arguments we are calling generally. So these arguments are customizable. That means whatever the you are expected as an input, that you have to define. For example, here I'm expecting two integers, so I written int a comma int b. For example, if you're expecting one integer, one float, then you can write int a comma float b, so like that. So what is your expectation based on the data type followed by variable name? The ABs are variables, int comma int are keywords. So data types, I can say that. Okay. So in this program, if you observe that the purple color, like light red color, the public, class, package, static, void, these are all we call keywords. Okay. The other one like basic, sum, do sum, C, A comma B, these are all we call identifiers, names. And if you see plus, equal to, star, these are all called operators. So just now I mentioned, right, each and every program will consist, these only as a tokens, means words basically. I hope you understand, right, everyone? So now I'm going to be creating a new program for finding the area of the circle. Okay, so where we can try to find the constants also. So how to define constants I mentioned, right? That also we can try to use it. So now here my intention is, so public void find underscore area, and here I'm taking double radius, that is r. Okay, and now here I'm taking, see, generally area of the circle you already all are aware, pi r square, pi is a
Square.
constant, right? So that is what I'm doing, final double pi is equal to 3.14. Okay, and now the area I can say that, so double area is equal to pi r square, right? So pi into r into r. So this is the area. Now finally we are writing void, right? So we can print it. System dot
System
dot
dot.
yeah, print followed by the area what we are getting here.
area.
Now if you want to call that, see here I change it to I did it, sorry, it's a area. If you observe the program, I didn't write the static for this function. If you observe clearly, okay, that means if I want to call the find area, so can anyone tell me like how to do that? So how to call the find area, with the class name or object?
Object.
Object. Then how to create the object?
Object.
Mm.
New.
Using new keyword.
Yeah, can you complete the sentence? Complete word I required. What now?
Class
What
name,
to write?
sir, class name,
What is
New
the class name here?
class name, object reference,
Yeah, what is the
equal,
class name?
class name find area.
Find area is not class name. It's a
Circle, circle, circle,
circle. Circle.
yeah. So circle. Tell me now.
reference variable.
OBJ.
Object.
Okay. Reference
Object.
equal to
Object.
New
New.
circle.
Circle.
circle. Okay, good. Now bracket open, close.
Bracket open.
Finally,
Object
object dot.
dot circle.
We have find area.
Circle. Find area. Find area.
Find area followed by radius we have to supply. Let's take I'm giving 3.6 as a radius. Now anyway it is a void function, so nothing to print over here. Already printing will happen in the function itself. So now we will try to execute this code. So please try to understand and see. This will give you a clarity. So totally four things I'm trying to explain. First one is public private variation. Second one with void, with return, without return, like void. Third thing, arguments, different types of arguments we can pass, like maybe number of arguments you can pass, type of arguments, anything you can pass. And the next one, I given the difference between variable and constant. So if you want to define the variable, just required to create data type followed by variable. But if you want to define same thing as a constant, you require additionally to the final keyword. And lastly, how we will call with static, without static. These are the things I explained. So see, you are getting some output. Now maybe someone asks you, so what makes the difference the final keyword? I will tell you. See, for example, if you're trying to change the pi is equal to 34, I'm giving, okay, now you see it is showing a compilation error. If you strictly see that the final local variable pi cannot be assigned, it must be blank or not using compound statement. It means that once you assign the value to the constant variable, you cannot change until unless you remove the final keyword. So if I'm removing final, see that now it doesn't show any error if you see that, because if you remove the final keyword, it will be treated as a variable. So variable value can be changeable, so you can do any value. So that is how the constant signature will be changed from the regular variable signature. I hope you understand now. Everyone is clear?
So final and the use of what happens, sir?
See, final is used to define the constants, means the value what we are defining cannot be changed.
Change it. Okay, sir.
Yeah,
Constant
ఈ
count.
వాల్యూస్ ఇంకా చేంజ్ చేయలేం త్రూ అవుట్ ప్రోగ్రామ్. ఇంకా పై వాల్యూ మీరు ఎక్కడ యూజ్ చేసినా దట్ విల్ బి 3.14 ఓన్లీ, ఫిక్స్డ్ ఇంకా.
Okay. Okay, sir.
ఓకే,
Final లేకపోతే మనం ఎప్పుడు కలుగుతుందో యూస్ చేసుకోవచ్చు.
ఎస్ ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ.
ఓకే సార్.
ఎనీ అదర్ డౌట్స్ ఫర్ ఎనీవన్? So whatever the six differences I'm telling, is it clear, right? Private, public, void and with return, and static, non-static, and final, without final. Is that differences clear, everyone? Everyone, you can ping me in chat also. If you are not able to speak up, you can ping me in chat also. Is it clear or not?
Clear.
Clear?
Clear, sir.
Okay, done. So please try to do the practice of these things today and tomorrow. So day after tomorrow, I will take some inputs on what called conditional statements, that is if else. Okay. So today you can spend some time with tokens, like maybe if time permits, I will also maybe in next class I will give you some more insight on increment decrement operators we have, right? Maybe on that. Otherwise, in loops I will explain. Maybe you can better understand over there. Next class I will take the conditional statements only. Okay, you can we can start working on some programs, so where we can integrate all these operators like relational, logical. In if else only we can try to integrate that operator. So first I will explain that if else, then I will try to explain all the operators what other than this particular what we can say that arithmetic operators are what we have, we can try to implement over there. Okay. And also maybe Saturday I may take the class in the morning time, like daytime, like maybe 11 or 11 somewhere. Evening time I'm going outside. So Saturday even I will ping in the groups also. So please available by that time. Okay.
Okay.